Hello, myself Sunil R Nair. Here basically we are talking about the topic basically that is earthquakes, and in this basically we are reached up to the topic that is currencies, and in currencies basically we reached up to the dependency of currencies. In this basically we were basically talking about one topic that is the incidence basically. Each and every, if I say that basically not only vegetables but each and every human needs basically, that also basically generates through incidence only basically, and that are basically the security groups of the creation basically, and that only basically finish that creations only basically. The creation basically is like that only basically created. The people, for example, one person told that basically vegetable creation basically is there. No, basically there basically 34 incidents basically has created. So these all are the 34 incidents basically. So whenever you basically thinks basically, the thinking basically is generated in the environment, that is basically captured by the nuclear power company. They sends the data to the Bollywood group basically, that this group basically have thought up to that level, this person basically has thought up to that level. Should we attack his head? Because he might basically think up to which basically you have said it. Then the group basically who created the Bollywood group, they basically came into picture. Don't do that basically. We will look into the Bollywood group basically. That type of possibilities basically are also there basically. Then entire Bollywood basically comes into the picture basically. That basically things basically we will discuss later on basically, how basically Bollywood controls the each and every people's head basically. That we will discuss later on basically. And who basically given the authority to control each and every heads basically. That we will discuss later on basically, when that time will come. So here basically we are discussing that each and every incidents basically are controlled by the set of groups basically. So incidents are generated, that incidents basically data sent to the data of the nuclear power company. Each and every people basically think. So here basically the thing is basically each and every data analysis basically are done. That's why basically nowadays the data science basically project basically big university like Harvard, Oxford and big university and the small university, each and every people basically are launching the data science basically, because data science will be the future basically. That also basically lots of people basically say. How basically, I will take one simple example. Each and every human thinks, that is the first thing, right? Basically this way everybody agrees. Few people can't think basically because their brain doesn't support. Why? Because they might be gone into the coma, or basically their brain might have damaged by set of groups. That also we will see later how basically they do that. Then basically it might possible some physical structure problem basically might be there, or basically some mental illness basically. Due to that mental illness basically they were not able to think basically. So that topic basically is totally different. Now here the thing is basically who basically thinks, whatever process basically they do, that data basically are captured in the computer, right? For example, in India basically there are 90 crore people. Just see basically how data science is very dangerous thing basically which is going to happen. And in data science mostly basically the salary also basically mostly might be the good level salary only basically. Because if you are taking training from the big level of institute basically, the by default basically they only with their name basically is enough basically. So that basically we will discuss later on basically. If without training also basically if person basically can think more than data science, then what about those people basically? So that we will discuss later on. Here basically we are thinking that basically here basically we are talking about that the data science basically up to what level the things basically is going to connect. Here basically the topic basically which we are discussing, that is 190 crore basically people basically are there. 190 crore basically people basically are there. In 190 crore people basically around assume that basically 135 crore people basically are into thinking process basically. Thinking process means they keeps on thinking, and according to that only basically they gets the money. They can be admin profession, they can be doctor profession, they can be software profession, they can be in the legal profession, they can be in the admin profession, they can be in any process basically. And few people basically are not supposed to think too much. They are basically into hard working process basically. So each process basically generates energy. That energy basically are kept in the computer. That mostly computer basically, it might be in lakhs computer basically, might be possible. Because just to do the process of the data of the customer basically, Amazon basically is having how many server basically there. See the Amazon server basically, how much computer basically he is having. So for thinking basically 190 crore people basically, how many server basically might be. So mostly 99% this type of data basically are kept in big level companies. Only big level company can afford this basically. Only big level company only can afford this basically. So assume that basically they have kept a few computers in one company like this basically. Assume that around 200 big level companies are there. They divided their work, and they basically told that basically we have kept the computers here of 190 crore people. So like this basically they told that 190 crore people data basically we have already kept in the computer. So whatever thing basically process is going to happen, that data basically is going to generate that data is going to generate right, whatever process basically my data. So now basically that is basically big level data science project. One person told that basically why he always basically eat this Cadbury here basically, 5-star Cadbury, he always eat 5-star Cadbury here. So that is basically one data basically, and that data basically the Cadbury group, Nescafe group, Nescafe chocolate group basically are there, and there are basically many competitors basically. If they basically knows this basically that person basically is eating 5-star Cadbury, then they basically might do some action basically. And if that 5-star Cadbury basically group basically will control that particular person basically, then basically that person will not happen anything basically. But if they basically leaves him, then basically it will create problem to him only basically. Then he will never eat Cadbury. So this is basically very dangerous. This is very dangerous. So this is basically also part of the business basically, and this is very bad level business basically. Your security groups only basically fires you basically. They were supposed to save you. You are eating a 5-star Cadbury, but they have not saved you. Why? There might be some reason basically. They might be thinking that basically due to you, their business basically got spoiled. They basically literally think up to that level. Just see basically up to what level the data science group basically has reached. This all basically connects to business and sales basically. How bad the business and sales basically are. Literally basically it's very bad level sales basically and business basically. Few people do basically, but few people basically don't do up to that level basically. That we will discuss later on basically what actually sales and is. In this topic only basically we are going to discuss. Sales and business, bad and good. So that we will discuss basically what actually that is. And here basically we are discussing that process basically which is happening, right? In next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic only, the part of this topic in next video basically.